after 7. Praise the Lord. This is the 7th year. When we finish this conference, we are ready for a new beginning. I'm so grateful. We started in 2018 because every other time, or rather, the 12 months of the year 2018, we had at least one young man or a young woman in diaspora community commit suicide. And there were other issues and we agreed that what we can predict, we can prevent. Therefore, prevention of mental health is so important because there are certain things that we can talk about, remove stigma, and allow other people to get access to services and the much needed help. And since that time, we have met monthly. We started by meeting on teleconference. And then 2020 came and we were all forced to be digital and be on Zoom, and all other platforms were open. And so we have continued, except 1 month out of the 7 years, only 1 month, we started a monthly discussion, and the Facebook page was hacked, or number was hacked, so we could not continue at that time. It gives me great joy to say that has not been the work of one person, although we want to give Reverend Anthony Kamnau credit because he's the one who he posted in the Northeast Samrak Forum saying, "Hi guys," just like he talks, but I'm not a guy. I'm a girl. So it's like, "Hi guys, what are we going to do about this? This is too much." And he kept, when he gets hold of something, he doesn't let go. We used to say in Talanta that he's kind of crazy about Jesus. Okay? Now, he kind of got crazy about mental health and asking, what are we going to do? And myself, I already have a program called Family Enrichment Education Forum, and it's incorporated as an aspect of mental health. So I responded to him. I said, I think we can do it. And we have worked together with Reverend Anthony Kamnau in Taranta. If you remember an organization called Taranta Awards. But I'm here to give a disclaimer so that we can start. So by the grace of God, we have come this far. And we want to thank everyone who has ever joined us on teleconference or on Zoom, monthly, weekly, or annually, and presenting, because it is because of you today we have what we call Mental Health Stars Association Incorporated with the Secretary of State in Georgia. And we have been classified as a private foundation. Welcome, and we have 2 presenters today. Before they speak, let me read you our disclaimer. And along the way, we'll be able to also share with you some local resources that we can access for our individuals or families that are struggling or has issues or disorders or concerns with mental health, including providers, health providers, community leaders. So mental health is our diaspora wealth. It is our community wealth. It is our national wealth. Without good mental health, everyone being able to function, we are not going to be successful in all these things that we are dreaming about. So here we go. Disclaimer. So suggestions made here are never a diagnostic impression, a substitute for treatment, or follow-up activities that are required and consented to by your doctor, your psychiatrist, your therapist, or your counselor. So my dear brothers and sisters, we want to welcome you by reading our theme for this conference and for this association, Mental Health Association Incorporated. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 14. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And I just want to correct AI and chat GPT, because sometimes when you say consular without the L, it comes out like cancerous, like you have cancer. Well, welcome to the digital age. We are doing the best that we can. And but I want to say this. I'm going to preempt this by saying, somebody told me, oh, we don't need to hear what you're saying. I say you need to. You can Google information. You can Google AI. And actually, AI tells you that there may be mistakes with the information. You can go on any platform. But I tell you this, there is no substitute for our Dr. Judy Olepele today. You will never get a substitute like our presenter today, because you need a person that you know, that I know. You know, I know Judy. I have hugged her. We have shaken hands. We have worked together in person. I know this woman. She is real. And so I'm saying, when she shares information, it's coming from the heart. And it proceeds also from the mind. It goes directly into the heart of the people. And many individuals who ask me for a referral for services, they tell me they have Googled, they have employed AI, they have chat GPT, they have been on Facebook. But guess what? They say, please, do you know a therapist, a psychiatrist who can understand me, who have walked in my shoes? Meaning, do you know someone in diaspora? It's not about race, but it's somebody you can reach who has flesh and blood. And that's why I have the greatest joy, honor, and privilege to introduce and to welcome for the 6th year none other but our devoted Judy Olepele. This is a mental health clinician. She has a practice, and she practices in Arizona and Texas, Washington and Maryland and other states. I cannot wait when we have a state license. 50 states. I'm going to declare a blessing. So I want to ask the individual if you can mute our friend. And thank you very much for coming. I want to give you this forum, Judy, so that you can share and introduce yourself. And we would like for you to actually tell us even about your practice. We have the time. Thank you.
Yo, Kanabo.
All right.
I have more hair than you. I have more hair than you, Kanabo. Kanabo, I have more hair. I have more hair than you. I suck a baby and you a bomb my glass in no hair.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
I have had to remove that person.
We have to. I think it's a child that is struggling with special needs.
Yes, yes. I wish somebody would sit with the child.
Logged in and probably just moved, but we love them, and hopefully they'll come back.
I hope so too.
With supervision. So thank you so much again, Mental Health Stars. I am very, very humbled and excited to be here again today. Reverend Kamnau, I cannot say thank you enough. Reverend Wamboi, and even the others that have not joined us, I know they will join the Mental Health Stars team. I really appreciate all the work you do. My name is Judy Olepere. I'm a Christian. I'm born again. I do like to put that out there so that people know that when I'm practicing, and I always tell my patients that I have put it on my profile so that when even my patients are searching me, they will know that somewhere along the line there will be a little bit of Jesus talk if need be. So in a nutshell, I practice like Reverend Wambui has said. I practice mental health. I am a nurse practitioner in psychiatry in Washington, Arizona, Texas, and Maryland. And hoping to grow even more because, again, the world is in our hands, right? So that we can reach everybody with this good news. I am passionate about mental health. For some reason, I'm always being given, when the conferences come, I'm asked to talk about grief and depression. I'm not a sad person, but in my sadness, in my joy, my passion is to bring joy to people. So I think that's why Reverend wants me to always be on the sad side, but I bring a light because, again, we all know that joy comes in the morning, right? So today I'm going to go right off and talk about, saying no to depression and the grief and how to grieve, the grief that comes with a lot of depression. So I will start by telling us that grief is a deep emotional response to a loss. We want to simplify things. So today we are not going to go into very deep philosophical and big textbook words about psychiatry or mental health. We're going to call it very, very much simply what it is. So grief is that emotional response we experience after a significant loss. And this loss can be the loss of a child, the loss of a parent, the loss of a friend, the loss of a lover, and to some people, the loss of a pet. We have come to this nation where pets are actually, animals are really taken seriously, and they are also members of the family. So when you lose your pet, people go through grief, like serious grief. And I have seen that in my practice. So we do not want to invalidate or to lessen anybody's grief. We always want to accept it for what it is and help them to deal with it, okay? So you cannot talk about grief and not talk about how this grief comes about and how you tackle it and how you approach it, because there are very many ways of grieving, and we'll talk about those here in a minute. But grief is not linear. It doesn't mean that, okay, so I lost my child today and I'm going to be sad straight up. I'm not going to even think about it, like, how did I lose this child? What happened? Did I miss any red flags? Like Reverend Momboy has said about suicide in the diaspora community. We're not going to look at it as a linear process. This is something that you go through in stages. And there's a scholar by the name of Kubler-Ross who came up with a theory of the stages of grieving that we have actually been using as a blueprint, even when we are talking to people about grief. So very briefly, I can remind us about the stages of grieving. It used to be 7, but they have also been dumbed down to 5, because again, we're trying to simplify things so that people understand what they're going through. So the first thing that happens when you hear that you have a substantial loss or something has happened to you, the first stage, people think of denial. The minute you get that phone call and you're told that your mother is no more, we know a lot of us, we always, even if it's something that we were expecting. For instance, somebody has been sick for a long time, so gradually, you're going to the hospital every day. They're on machines. A lot of things are falling in place. So we kind of are prepared that this is going to happen. But when it finally happens, there's always that denial. There's always that, no, but I just spoke to her, and this is something that we can all relate. I just went to the hospital and she sat up and drank. And if you're from my community like mine, we believe in food. A lot of times you'll hear that, mom has not eaten for a week.
The quarrels are separate, and then
So mom has not eaten for a week, but today she sat up. I gave her porridge. She drank a whole can of porridge and went to and laid back down. She was very happy. She hasn't talked for a week. She hasn't eaten. Well, then you leave her, and then the next thing you get in an hour or two after you leave the hospital, you're called and you're told she's no more. I don't know if you're like me, I have experienced incidents like those. And the first thing you do is that you jump onto the denial phase. And then you start talking about how you fed her, how this was doing good, how the doctor said she was actually ready to be discharged. So that denial can actually make you numb. It can make you numb to what is happening. It makes you not want to feel like we are going to speak when you're talking about how to grieve healthy. So that sense of loss is not real at that time. And that is the stage that we call of the denial. To a lot of us and to mostly everybody, it is a protective mechanism to help you process that overwhelming emotion. But is it sustainable? It doesn't stay for long, because soon enough you start seeing people flocking to the house, So then you move into another stage. Now, remember I said that grieving is not linear. It is where you go back and forth through these stages. There is another stage called the angry stage, where you have anger. You're very, very upset. You're very angry. If for Christians, we get frustrated and we start saying, God, why me? God, why did you let this happen? If you believe in God, you get to that point where you want to have a one-on-one with God and blame and say, why did you abandon me? So this anger can be directed in different directions. It can be directed to yourself. It can be directed to others, or even it can be directed to the person that you have lost. So this right there will also describe another unhealthy way of grieving. Anger is also a natural mask, a natural way to mask the deeper pain. So when you don't want to talk about what is going on, you don't want to process it, you stay angry. You stay angry in that phase of your loss, whatever loss it is, even if it's a loss of a job. You're very angry and you do not even want to reason to understand why and what led to you losing this employment. The other stage is also bargaining. You start bargaining with God, you start bargaining with your friends, with yourself, like, what if I did this would not have happened. Or if I do this will not happen. So that doesn't help in the grieving process, because especially if it's a final, something or finality has happened, there's no other room to bargain. So you go right back into the anger stage. So remember, we say that grief is not linear, and it goes back and forth with these stages. You're not stuck at one stage, and so that you can process it very well. So once you feel that the beginning is not helping, a lot of people become hopeless. You become very depressed. You get very, very depressed. And that is what we are going to talk about today, how to deal with that depression that comes with the grief. And when you're depressed, all you have is a very deep sadness. You withdraw from people, you withdraw even from your family and your friends. You have a feeling of being overwhelmed at all times. And most times when people are in the depression stage, they actually acknowledge the reality of the impact. And that is a very interesting phase to be in your grieving journey, because this is where you start acknowledging that, you know what, it really has happened. You haven't accepted it yet. You're heading there, you know. But when you accept that this has happened, it is not a sign of weakness. A lot of people want to hide. A lot of people don't want to show it. They don't want others to see that, you know, she's actually, you know, heading to the acceptance that this has happened or this loss is final. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength if you look at it, because it helps you process and go to the next step. The next step in this grieving process is acceptance. Now, acceptance is not easy to arrive, and that is why, again, we say grief is not linear. It is not, you go back and forth with these stages. There is no timeline, there's no time frame. So for those people who like to tell people that are grieving to get over it, or you know, time, you know, you just need time and you'll be okay. That is insensitive. We need to also learn how to approach people and how to talk. Sometimes you don't need to say anything. If you're going to come and tell me that, you know, it's been 5 years and you're still grieving your mom, you know, you need to move on, that is insensitive. You can help me by telling me to grieve in a healthy way, but don't tell me about a timeline, because there is no timeline and there is no, you know, there is no start and stop. You know, it's not like a button you can press and say, so now we're going to start grieving today and we're going to stop at the end of the year. So there is no timeline. And this is also a clarion call, even to the therapists like me and counselors who sometimes find themselves getting hopeless. Because, you know, when you have a patient that has grieved for so long and you want them to get out of it or snap out of it, be sensitive about the kind of language and the kind of verbiage that you use. Because what you do when you do not validate this person, you put them right back into the angry stage. You put them right back into the denial stage. You put them right back into the bargaining, where they start feeling like, maybe I was the fault. Maybe I did something wrong. And I'll tell you the truth, I have been in situations where I have blamed myself, you know. I have blamed myself for the loss of very close, you know, very close people to me. Did I miss the red flags? Did I do something wrong? Would I have done better? Definitely. But can I be stuck there? I want to believe that we all want to move past the anger. We want to move past the self-blame so that we can help each other walk this journey. And now, when we get to that, those 5 stages, we'll go back and forth, back and forth. Now we're going to deal, I'm going to take a very short time to talk about the very few safe ways, which are also healthy ways of grieving, and unhealthy ways of grieving. I will start with a safe way, because you always want to start with the good, go to the bad, and then go to the ugly, and then go to the cute. So we'll start, because when you're good and bad, you're ugly, then you get cute, and then you're acceptable. So allowing yourself to feel the grief is the first safe and healthy way to do the grieving journey. Crying, some people want to cry, some people feel sad, some people talk, some people are confused. They want somebody to talk to them and tell them, this is the reality, this is what is happening. So allowing yourself to accept that situation and to grieve accordingly. If you have seen people that have not grieved, people that don't cry, especially when they lose a loved one, you see them running around. They're the ones arranging the program. They're the ones running to the funeral home. They're the ones who are running up and down, meeting people and welcoming people. Those people end up grieving very long, very painfully, and very much alone. So, and it's not a healthy way. Allowing yourself to grieve for the moment, and when you feel the need to, and when the need is there right then, is the best thing to do. Granted, it's not always easy, and especially if you're the alpha kind of person, if you're if you're the matriarch or the patriarch, if you're the one that runs the show, it's not always easy to drop the tools down, because the strong ones are always the ones that don't get the attention that they need. Because people always feel like Reverend Romboy is always the strong one. She's always the one that helps people. She's all the one that guides people. So when she needs that, that space and that time to grieve, she's not able to do it, because it's the expectations are she has to be macho. So allowing yourself. Another thing, talking to someone you trust. And this is where we come in. You can talk to a friend, you can talk to your pastor, you can talk to, but the best thing, what I have seen mostly, is going to a counselor, because a therapist is totally neutral. They will not fall when you fall, not because they don't feel, but because they are there. They're a pillar. They are there for you to comfort you, to be their sounding board. So the best thing to do is, one of the things I have seen that have been very helpful is therapy. Go to a therapist. Even for loss of homes, marriages. When you lose a marriage, it calls for grief. We're not just grieving for death. Remember, I said grief is a loss. It can be a loss of anything. So a lot of marriages I've seen not going so well when people turn to counseling, especially going to the elders. I have no problem with that. Going to your pastor, I have no problem with that. But don't forget, these people are people that are in your circle. These are people that live with you. They have seen you guys live. So they know if you've been fighting, they know these fights. And there's always the tendency to take sides, whether they want it or not. Some pastors are not confrontational. Some pastors are not, they're not counselors. They're not therapists. The anointing on them is to preach the word and to bring you to the love of Christ and to take you to Calvary. Now, when you go to them with marital issues, you're losing your marriage or you're losing your wife, they don't know how to handle that. So that is why we encourage you, and that is why, as Mental Health Stars, we want you guys to utilize the resources that are out there to help you retain and maintain the things that are dear to you. We want you to use counselors and therapists so that you're able to walk this journey. If it is grief, if it is joy, you do not always go to a therapist coming from a place of pain. You also go to a therapist coming from a place of peace, because you also want to make sure that you're not manic. Because sometimes you might have so much peace, you're so happy, there's something wrong, So another thing you want to do is to express your grief creatively. This you learn when you talk to professionals, and even your friends, journaling, writing down, drawing. Some people love to draw, some people love music, some people love poetry. Do what it is that is going to help you overcome your grief. If it is being creative, if it is being, creating a scrapbook. And I learned that scrapbooking is very, very helpful, because guess what? You put together, you collect a memorabilia, a memory of all those things that you're grieving. You put them together in one place, and they start to come alive. You start appreciating the good, you start feeling the joy. Even though this person has gone, they brought some light, they brought some joy. We had some good times. So it's not always the grief. And then when you know that it is final, you also have to realize that with finality comes some decisions that you have to make. You also have to remember that there are others around you that need you, because, for instance, for a mother, if you have children, and this is very painful, if you have children and for one reason or another, one gets sick and you lose them, you have to leave for the rest of the kids. It is hard, but there's a safe way, there's a healthy way of grieving that child alongside loving and caring for the other children. Like I said, there's no timeline. But again, sometimes grief brings abandonment, you know? And this is something that a lot of families don't realize, that grief sometimes comes and breaks up homes. I can tell you for free, there's very many marriages that have ended and following a demise of a child. Why? Because the grief is not being carried out the way it should be. The blame game. If it was not for you, this would not have happened. You are not there to pick the call. You are not there to take them to the hospital. So talking to somebody that you trust, expressing that creativity, taking care of yourself is also another healthy way of grieving, you know? Taking care of your body. A lot of people like to say cleanliness is next to godliness, but have you met a depressed person telling you that they have not showered for 3 weeks or for a month? You know, they have not showered, they have not brushed their teeth, they have zero hygiene. Why? Because they're grieving. So one of the things you want to encourage people is to take care of your body. Once you freshen up, once you sleep regularly, if you put your body to sleep, you recuperate, you rejuvenate. Your body, your cells grow when you sleep, you know? But when you're grieving, a lot of times you feel so sad that you don't even want to sleep. Because for one, you're probably afraid to also sleep and sleep away. Or you're afraid that you'll sleep and not watch the ones around you. But guess what? You cannot do that to your body, because then you're pushing yourself to limits that are going to hurt you more. Another healthy way also to take care of your body is eating well and exercising. If you can, pick something that you can do regularly to run your body, to run your cardiac, you know. If you're a swimmer, go and swim. If you're a walker, just walk. Walking is free. Even in the winter, here in America, we go to the mall. You can go into the mall and walk. You know, the indoor malls, you can walk around that mall and get your miles and then go back to the house. You don't have to go in and shop. Granted, I love shopping. Granted, if shopping is your therapy, if window shopping or photo shopping is your therapy, go for it. Another safe and healthy way to grieve is honoring the person you lost. If your grief is about a person that you have lost, when you honor that person, it gives you a lot of joy. You know, you have seen people doing candle lighting. You know, they visit the resting place. You know, you go to that cemetery, just be there, doing something they love. You know, if they love, I'll say what? If they love cooking, if they love baking, bake. And when you're baking, you talk about them. If they love to travel, go to nice places and remind yourself and say, you know, so and so love to be in places like this. You know, honor that person. You know, feel them, feel that. You know, keep feeling that they love, even when you know that it's gone. But you know, honoring that person brings you joy, and it makes your grieving journey much lighter and much easier. I get a lot of controversy around this healthy thing that I'm going to say about creating rituals and traditions. And the reason I get pushback from some of my Christian friends is because they think, oh, you know, we are so born again, we don't do rituals. I'm not talking about going to get a jug and a gourd and beat those things and do the talumanzira. I'm talking about doing the rituals, doing the things that you did together with your loved one. You know, some people even want to hold on to a shirt, you know, that the husband used to love this shirt, and don't give it away. You know, keep it. If it'll make you happy, if it'll remind you of him and make the grief easier. Those are the kind of rituals I like to, you know, talk about. Make a band, make a headband, make an armband or something. Those are the rituals I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all these other juju that people think when you say rituals, it comes to mind. No, I am still walking in the spirit, and I am not talking about rituals. But trust me, if you do those things, they even bring the families together. Can you imagine if all of us, one of these days, we just wear a t-shirt for mental health stars when we have a conference, you know? We don't wear all these shirts that we are wearing, and we just wear something uniform, you know? And we go out there and we meet people in the community, and we are wearing something that identifies us with our organization. It attracts people to you. It attracts, oh, those guys with their white shirts, it's the same thing. If you get a shirt that reminds you of your child, wear it, on his birthday, do something on his, I'm not saying we are calling them from where they are, but we are remembering them, because losing a person doesn't mean you delete them from your memory. You cannot do that. And a lot of people will want to do that. They'll tell you it's not Christian, it's not contemporary. So, but again, I'll make a disclaimer here, do what pleases you, do what makes you feel better, and what makes your grieving journey lighter and easier. And will support you and let your people around you know what you like. Then they won't come and tell you what they like and try to impose things on you that you do not want. Let people know how you want to grieve. Guide the grief process, and you'll see people will follow. But if you isolate yourself, and that takes us now again to the last one that I have put down as the safest way is ask for help when you need it. And Reverend Wambui, I want to keep time, so if I'm running short, you know what to do. And asking for help when you need it. 3, therapy, grief counseling, support groups, in person or virtual. There's something that I like, that I found out that has also been very helpful. There's an organization called Grief Share. Grief Share is, I believe, in the whole of the United States, most places. There's Grief Share. You go on Google and put Grief Share near me. Put your zip code, and you will find Grief Share in the middle of nowhere. This is a free group of people that are housed by churches. They're not necessarily affiliated to the church, but the churches host them. And you go there and meet with people who are going through the same things that you're going through. Griefshare.org, or just Grief Share near me on Google will find you, and then you put your zip code and you will find a place. That's one of the resources that I know off the tip of my head. That one is global. It is everywhere. It is even in Nairobi. Oh my goodness, Reverend Wambui, that is awesome. So actually, it is global. I was just thinking it's in the US. So look at that. Grief Share, Grief Share, Grief Share. The last thing now, unsafe. The unsafe ones are not very many, so I'll go through them real quick if I have time. Avoid suppressing the emotions. We already talked about that. Stop acting like nothing happened. Something has happened. You're grieving. Allow it. So everything I say, do as healthy, you will do the opposite, and it will be unhealthy. A lot of people go to alcohol. This is a very unsafe and unhealthy way of grieving. It is a temporary it's a temporary way of evading, and it increases physical and emotional harm. It actually even increases economic harm, because you're getting yourself deep in debt for money, and your body, you're getting yourself sick, and your problems are still there, your grief is still there. It's actually deeper. So running away, it can lead to addiction and self-destructive behavior. So avoid that as a way of grief, because it's very unhealthy. Self-isolation. This is the biggest thing. A lot of people cut themselves off. Completely cutting yourself off from friends or family, avoiding all social interaction. Okay, given alone time is good. Alone time is normal, but total isolation is not. And it can make grief very, very heavy. Self-blame We talked about that briefly, or guilt. Should have done this would not have happened. Blaming yourself for the loss, replaying the what ifs, could have done it this way, it doesn't help, it makes grief again. It keeps the wounds from healing. It's like the wound is healing and then you're opening it up. You know, for those of you who ever rode a bike and you fell and you had a scabbing over, then before it heals, you go ride the bike again and you fall and it opens up. And you can tell I'm a so in Greek. So that doesn't help your grief. Now, risky or self-harming behaviors. We have talked about alcohol. Some people, you believe me or not, reckless driving. Some people do that as grief. I don't know at that point where when we classify them, whether they are doing it deliberately or it's just a way of grief. The hopelessness and thoughts of giving up on your life. Those are also very unhealthy ways. Overworking. This goes to parents. Parents, they're the most notorious. Go to overwork or stay continuously busy because they're trying to get these thoughts out of their mind. They're trying to ease this grief. But guess what? Trying to avoid the feelings through non-stop activity means you're shutting out other people that also need your attention. And remember what I said about a family. Family need each other. Let's not overwork one area because we want to avoid confronting what is ahead of us. Because burnout is very, very likely, and grief returns very much stronger and very much prevails. So let us remember again, grief has no correct timeline. What matters is that your coping methods will help you to heal rather than to hurt you. Okay, I'm going to stop there and tell you that there is help. Always give a 988. That is our mental health crisis line for anybody that is going through it in any direction as far as your mental health. Call 988. You will get somebody on that line 24/7. For the Gen Zs, they don't like to call, they like to text. Text on that number. Somebody will text you back and will de-escalate. I'm also available for psychotherapy and medication management. I was told I could tell about my business. I have AJ Psychiatry. You can find me on Psychology Today. You can find me on Google. You just go AJ Psychiatry or put my name and then you will find me. I do practice again in Washington, Texas, Arizona, and Maryland. And I am available. I am taking new patients every day. So come on in and let's take care of our mental health. And may the Lord bless you. Thank you.
Amen. That is wonderful. We are going to hand over the microphone to Mr. Kevin Goge. And as we do this, we are going to ask you a favor. Please share your email with us on the chat. You can also put questions or comments and help us. Keep giving us high five. We like that, and it is helpful. Grief, as natural as it is. Thank you, our presenter, Sister Judy. I have experienced grief, and you know, I almost forgot that December 5 was my son's birthday. If he had lived, he would have been 39 years old, but he died when he was 24 years. And one of the things that really helped me, most of you see me chatting, talking. I like social media, especially WhatsApp. What really helped me is actually participating in group. And I will share that number later on the chat. A group that really helped me. I was in a group with compassionate friends. They are parents who have lost a child of any age through death, including miscarriage, including abortion, elective abortion, any type of abortion. Is important to validate anyone who has gone through tragedy or distress so that we can remove stigma and allow people to get access to services and help based on your zip code or your country. Thank God that we have all these services. I have found them in Australia. People have called me from United Kingdom. And if you're afraid to Google, I am friendly. I really like computer and devices since I was in high school. So I'm so comfortable with a keyboard. I was a business major at my high school. But for now, this is the time we have about 7 minutes or 10 minutes to ask our presenter any questions. And I actually share my story that I have lost, or I lost our only son, Wayaki, because it helps to put a label or a name on grief through death so that I can also be able to help other people. But I do have a caveat. I was already working as a behavioral counselor. So it can happen to any one of us. But I pray that it's going to be well with you. That's why we are talking about preventing mental health issues from escalating, from bad to worse. But now we want to prevent and also help. Intervention is important. So thank you so much. If we have Mr. Kevin, he will share with us a few things about us after your question. You're very important. You're valuable. Your opinions are also very good. So please go ahead. Don't let me talk.
Yeah, we're still live. If you wanna ask a question, we'll serious one like crazy later. We're gonna stop live. But I have a comment and a question. When my mom passed away, I'm the firstborn, and I kept going. What you said, Dr. Judy, I kept going, planning, going from the hospital, morgue. I was very strong, but after the burial, after a week, I was terribly sick. I was sick for a month. I felt like dying. And what you said is true. You have to be able to take care of yourself. And I don't know how you can overcome that. That's my first question. My second comment is pertaining. I love pastors. I'm a minister of the gospel. And what you said is really true. And like a month ago, I've had a pastor making a comment. Oh, you saw so and so in the pulpit, and it, I don't know why they do that. Sometimes some of them, and if it affects relationship, it affects confidence that you want to talk to your fellow minister or a congregant want to talk to a minister about a private situation, and you get it out there. So how can we overcome those two situations, and then we can open up for everybody else? Thank you. You're muted.
Sorry about that. So the first question about you going and going and going after your mom's demise is it's very classic. People do that a lot. How you can do that, how you can overcome that is by allowing people to help you, allowing the support. At that time you have a lot of people surrounding you, because at that moment when it happens, there's a lot of help, like allow yourself to relinquish that control. It is hard, especially being a firstborn. I see that a lot, even with my firstborn, my firstborn child, who happens to be a girl. Oh gosh, and she's here. So anyway, I'm not giving names, but that control, it is always there. You know, you want to be the one to do it. You want to be the one, you know, even when you're sick, you want to be the one to, you know, because you've always been the one that does it. So you think that if you don't do it, it's not going to be done well. But I want you to understand that at this time, during this kind of situation, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong way of doing things. The only thing is the end result. The end result is that we're going to have a respectable and a smooth send-off. That's all we need, right? Sometimes you don't want to look at the perfection that you bring to the table. And that's what makes you go, and then you crash. Now, in order for you not to crash, allow support. Allow people around you to speak to your life, to pour into your life at that time. And I think that should be pretty much the bottom line. Get the help that is available so that you can rest and also be more resourceful. Because when you're very tired, you won't be able to give good directions, by the way. But if you're sitting down and watching people doing things, you'll be able to say, oh, okay, that maybe we could do this. But if you're actually wanting to do it, you hear that we want to go to the mall, you're the one going to check. You hear that the transport is, we need a transport manager. You want to know how many cars and who's going to give. No, let people do those. Be the resource person, you know, manage it, but let yourself get the help. Now the others, I hope that's enough. I don't want to go into details, but in a nutshell, allow people to speak to you, allow people to pour into you. Other thing, the issue about the preacher, this is the preacher man, you're one of them, you're bad. That's why I said, use the resources, use the therapists, because they don't know you from Adam. They don't know where you're coming from. They don't know where you're going, but they will take you, you know, because you don't know where you're going. And when you don't know where you're going, any road can take you, right? But you go to a counselor, they have a roadmap. They're going to help you process your grief. They're going to help you process what's going on. You go to the preacher, they're going to use that as a sermon for sure. That happens all the time. And I used to think it was only in our diaspora churches. It's not diaspora. It's preacher man, period. Because they want to get the examples. But sometimes they say it in such a way that before the sermon is over, you know that they're talking about Dr. H. You know, he doesn't have to say Dr. H, but the way he has described that problem, and you know, we're a small community, we know each other, we know what's going on, you know, so it beats the purpose to go and confide in your pastor. Your pastor is not a therapist. Your pastor is not trained. He doesn't know about HIPAA. He doesn't even know about, you know, being sensitive to mental health issues. Him, he knows about exorcism. He's going to drive that demon out of you, you know, even when the demon is not there, because sometimes even discernment is something else. So let us leave the pulpit to do the work of the cross and the work of the pulpit, and let the therapists do the work that they're trained to do. And you will never have a problem, you know. Don't go to your pastor. I'm telling you, even for some friends, you go to them and then they go to pray. You know, let's pray about Reverend Humble. You know, she's going through this and that. That's not prayer. That's gossip. You know, that because this person didn't know what you're going through, but now they know, so they want the juice. They want to know more. You know, they're not praying. I mean, they'll pray a little bit in there, but what has happened right there? You know, if you know the story about that person who swallowed a bird and it was not true and was told to throw it up. By the time it got to 10 people, and it was a pastor and a pastor's wife, and the pastor is telling the wife, please don't tell anybody. So she goes and tells her best friend, the lady, the deacon, you know, pastor swallowed, coughed, and 3 birds came out of it. You don't say anything in case the parishioners hear. Remember, pastor told the wife it was 1 bird. This wife said about 3. By the time the other person goes to the other lady or CU, Mother's Union, please don't say, Mama Mchungaji told me this, that the pastor coughed. They don't even say the name. They'll show you the fingers. Then you say 5. Remember, it started from 1, 3, now 5. And they prayed. And then let's pray for our pastor because maybe he's possessed. But look at that. So don't go to the preacher man. Let's use the therapist, you know? And that's another story of another day, distortion of stories, distortion of reality. It is also a mental health situation. So let's stick with the professionals and we stick to our lane.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Wow. Anybody else with a burning question before we jump to Reverend Wamboy?
Yes, I just have a small question.
Okay.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lady who lost her husband,
Mhm.
and during the burial ceremony, this lady was just making jokes and laughing through and through. And up to the very last minute, she's still making jokes and laughing. So, what do you think was going on? People
She
asked a
was,
lot of questions. Yeah.
that is where the faces come in. Remember the stages of grief? This lady, she's
Yes.
still not, she's still up there in the denial. She's still up there. The reality has not hit her. So she's still thinking that this is a joke, it's going to, or again, like I said, remember when I talked about that, I said that this is a protective mechanism. So in psychology, we call it neuroprotection. So this lady, the protective mechanism for her not to face her reality is to laugh about it. It's like when you have a disability and you don't want people to ridicule you about it, you use it to laugh at yourself. I some things I cannot explain in English, but I know you understand what I mean, So this lady
Yes.
is laughing, is making jokes, is in a situation that she's not supposed to be. So it's an it's an oxymoron. It's a situation that should not be happening. But again, it's a mental health condition. She's right there going through her stages. But what? With time, she'll go to the next stage and the next and keep going back. And it looks very, very absurd. And it's unfortunately that is a very bad sign of grief. Because if you follow that lady later after that, how she ended up, if she did not get help, she probably ended up very depressed. It could go other ways. This is 2025. It could be that she was happy, she's gone. Sometimes it's good riddance, depending on how the situation has been. I've seen people who have been beaten blue black by their husbands, and when they die, it's actually a relief. So I don't know about that lady, Dr. Hemme, but it could go both ways. It could be it was good riddance, or it could be she was just in denial and waiting to crash very big time as far as her mental health.
Okay.
That should be a good study. That should be a good case study for us, for you to report back and see whether we needed to find help for her, because honestly, it's not okay.
Can I make a comment before Reverend Boy takes over? Thank you. You made a comment about talking to people about your story, your secret. And sometimes back, me and other guys were talking about a situation, or you're married, you have a girlfriend, and you share with your buddy the story. And now you end up discovering your buddy is going to talk to your wife or your girlfriend. That's a common thing, right? Or what you think? And that's my last comment.
It is
Thank you.
very common. It is very common, and it's very, very unhealthy. What I know, and what I believe myself. I've been with my husband for many years, close to, we've been together almost 37 years. I don't believe that if we have we have something that we are not agreeing so much that somebody else can actually help us to agree. So you also have to choose your friends. You have to know who you're telling your stuff, because maturity in friendship is also very important. You might have friends who you think are your friends, and you go yap in telling them everything about yourself, and then you find it. If you don't find it on the pulpit, you'll find it in social media. You'll find it with all your friends, or you get into a room and everybody's looking at you weird. You know, like I've had situations where there's a situation where everybody knows something that only you don't know, and it's about you. But you know, so maturity in friendships and choosing your friends, know who you're telling and know what you're telling. Like, for instance, are we live?
Yeah,
I mean,
we're still live.
I gotta know what kind of
we know
example. For
we're gonna
instance,
give it after being live. You can share. We're gonna give you
okay,
a few minutes here.
yeah, because it is important what I needed to say, but it's almost should not be recorded because it's almost personal, but it's very important. It'll answer your question.
Okay.
Mhm.
Give you a chance at the end. Rev, is that all correct? Thank you, Rev.
Yes, we can. We are not going to be off because we have a second presenter, and Dr. Pacifica is already on the platform. And if Kevin can hold what he wants to share with us, we can go ahead and listen to Dr. Pacifica. Then when we turn off YouTube, we can revisit personal issues. For now, I am going to just say that the reason why individuals get on autopilot when someone has passed away or they have an issue, example like divorce, all over the world, sometimes there are things you must do. You must go and do certain things that nobody else can. For example, you have to go and identify the person, this person. You have to see them. Of course, it shocks the reality out of you. You have to sign paperwork, disclaimers, contracts. You have to pay money with your own name. You have to claim. And because even after that, some information is going to come directly to you. I can give you examples of court documents. I can give you an example when someone has passed away, not necessarily my son, as it is because I also took a class called Aging and Dying in college, and I was for field studies. I had to go to every place from maternity all the way to the funeral home. I remember one of my classmates passed out when we got there because we have also to sign a waiver. This is the class. So there are some places you have to go. However, delegate, delegate, delegate. This is where the community is here for you. Delegate people you trust. Delegate professionals that you are paying because they can hold you or keep your confidence at all times, or privileged communication with a lawyer or attorney, especially like these times that we are going through immigration. If you start a statement or a sentence saying like this, I have something I'm going to tell you, and you can never, ever, ever tell anybody. You know what that should be? Stop. That is your mind telling you the information you have is sensitive, and you cannot guarantee that that information will stay with you unless you want to stay with me. My classmates used to call me dead end. Don't use that, but let me give people even on YouTube some words. So I wanted to know, why do you call me that? They say, because if you give one boy information when she was in high school, it just ended. There was nothing to talk about. For some reason in my heart, I didn't think I was supposed to pass it on. So even now, so I asked somebody, so what do you want me to do with your information? And that's why I'm better off giving a referral to an individual who gives sensitive information. And this scripture we talked about, that in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Ask yourself, what kind of guidance? Our presenter is on the mark. She has said, if somebody tells you you have a demon and you're going to go to a preacher, they're going to cast out the demons out of you, and you know you are sick. The question is, I have to honor the man of God. Maybe there'll be 3 of us. Let the man of God pray over Wambui, and Wambui and this person, we are going to the emergency room. So the 3 of us, we are going to get help. We cannot just say, because do you know the difference between mental illness and someone who is deteriorating, and that this is not a demon. This is someone who needs a doctor quickly. So if you know the difference, you can solicit the pastor, because the reason I have to highlight the men of God in diaspora in the United States of America, because I know, and I say, the first person we look for when we are in deep trouble, who is that person in diaspora? It is our pastor. 85.52% of diaspora, especially Kenya and African diaspora, when we are in trouble, who do we look for or call first, even at midnight? It is that man of God. So we are going to take the man of God and the person that needs help, and Reverend Wambui is available. We are going to the emergency room, the 3 of us. At least this person has support. Or we can go to the clinic if it's during the day. The outpatient clinic is very friendly. You can just take somebody, but let's listen to our presenter and walk in our lane. I think that was a good word. Let's walk in our lane. But there's nothing wrong with us talking to a friend we trust, a family member, a community leader, whoever you can share your heart with. It's okay. But Reverend Wambui actually recommends a professional like our Dr. Pacifica. We want to welcome you, because I have questions for you too, and we have questions. And if you are available and are able to open, oh, she's here. I like digital things. They say she has entered the room. So we are going to go to the next area, and that we'll talk about medicine. I said, I posted in our WhatsApp forum, I am going to answer a question quickly, and then we will invite Dr. Pacifica, and we want to thank God for her and appreciate her, value her, knowing that we are privileged and honored to have her with us for the 7th year. Commitment like this, consistency like this, being constant like this. I don't know what you call this. I will say this woman is a gift to us in diaspora. We should appreciate the people that God is bringing in our life. God has given us the best in this country of the United States of America. God bless the United States, and God bless our Judy Olepere, and God bless Dr. Pacifica. God bless you, Reverend Anthony, and we will have time for questions. Let me just go preempt this so that the doctor will incorporate it. I put it in the forum. And thank you for talking about a t-shirt. I think we should make a t-shirt like this. If you noticed, I said there's a t-shirt you can go and buy in Kenya that says, I don't need therapy. I just need to go to Kenya. We are going to find out at the end whether this statement is accurate or not. Remember, I don't need therapy. I just need to go to Kenya. Welcome, Dr. Pacifica, with Dr. Pacifica Nyang'ao. Welcome Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Reverend Wamboy. Thank you for today's presenters, and those who are listening. You are all welcome. I can't believe that it's 7 years already. Ah, all right, so I don't know how to present this, but I can probably present it from my end.
You can have privileges to share if you want to share. Screen share.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, that's okay. I can share.
We are asking Reverend, come now to enable.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did give you co-share. Thank you. Your co-host. Thank you.
Okay, let me see where I am. I don't know.
When you get the screen, let us know. Otherwise, here you go. You're doing good. Great. It is right here. Yes.
It's right there. All right. Okay, so let me go up. From there, I just have today's topic is the psychotropics, and that's my name. I'm a doctor in psychiatric nurse practitioner. I am the founder and the owner of Equanimity Behavioral Health and Consultation Services. I provide outpatient psychiatric services. What are psychotropic medications? So psychotropic medications, these are medications that have effect in our mind or in our brain. They act on our emotions, such as they do help or cause anxiety, depression, mood swings, behavioral issues. Now, these medications, we use them with the intentions to help to alleviate these symptoms. But as we go down to each specific class of medications, we can find that, some of the medications, even though we use them with good intentions to alleviate the symptoms, they can cause the side effect that can, cause one symptom or worsen another symptoms. But most importantly, these are the medications that are used to help to alleviate such symptoms for anxiety, depression, mood swings, and all that I have on the screen. So psychotropics, these are not like one class of medications. They are classified into various, categories. We have medications that fall under the class of antidepressants, which help with depression, anti-anxiety, which are meant to alleviate anxiety symptoms, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers for mood stabilization, sedatives, and stimulants. And I just listed those because as we go down, we're going to dive further into each category. Now, what are antidepressants? Antidepressants are the class of medications that help to alleviate the symptoms of depression. If somebody is feeling sad, feeling down, hopeless, helpless, lack of motivation, loss of interest over a period of 2 weeks and more, they meet the criteria of depressive disorder, and they do qualify in quotes, because first, if they have maybe tried therapy and therapy alone is not cutting it, or they are really severely depressed, that they need to take the antidepressant so they can come out of that depression more, so they can even be able to do therapy. So these are the class of medication that we do use. I just have a few examples. That's not all, because oh boy, we have so many of them. We have even newer ones, but on my screen, I do have medication like Prozac, Cymbalta, sertraline, Lexapro, Celexa. We have those, they fall under the class we call serotonin, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. It is more, detailed, complex if I start to explain like how these neurotransmitters they work, but I just want to leave it, a symbol that these are the medications that I to help with depression. And we have more other classes like tricyclic, antidepressants, Elavil, and we have more than that. Effects are Remeron, Cymbalta, and Wellbutrin. As I said, now every medication, even though they with good intentions, they can cause side effects, and those are not all side effects I have on the screen, but those are like a few most common ones that people want to know or they do experience. But each medication has different side effects, and the way the side effect affect one patient is not the same as how another patient will be affected, because that's one thing mostly I do put emphasis, because I don't want my patients to go Google side effects of a medication, because really somebody can experience side effect, another person will not experience side effect, or the side effect one person will experience is not the same, because our bodies are meant to metabolize medications and they react differently. We do have anti-anxiety medications. These are medications that help to alleviate the symptoms of anxiety. If somebody worries a lot uncontrollably, they feeling like anything and everything is going to go wrong. Nothing they do that is going right direction. That is debilitating. The situation gets to where it's debilitating, even whereby it gets to like isolating themselves, because we do see more, even the teenagers, the kids. It's not only the adults who experience these symptoms, but there is help. There's medications that helps. Now, besides these, a few I have. I don't want people to think these the only ones that are there to help anxiety, because we have more medications. Even the class of antidepressants also can help with the anxiety. I should update my presentation, because probably the presentation that I used a long time ago, but and now with the class of medication that I have over here that falls under the class we call benzodiazepines, what I do put emphasis is that they are not really approved for long-term use, because they can cause like more addictive and a dependency on them. But they use short-term, because sometimes you find a patient is having anxiety because something is going on, like it's a situational thing, but it's very debilitating that they need help within that shortest period of time in order to be able to move on and even come off the medication. So that's where this works well. We also have antipsychotics. These are medications that are used to treat psychosis, and most of the time we find psychosis is caused by other mental health problems, like, for example, bipolar disorder or even depression itself, substance use, schizophrenia. So we do have a lot of, medications that fall under that class of medication. Even depression, severe depression that is not responding to therapy, that is not responding to antidepressants, we do adjunct with or add on to antidepressants so that patients are able to get a full benefit to alleviate their symptoms. Mood stabilizers, these are also medications that are used to manage or control mood that is caused by, again, like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or even depression. They one thing that they fall also under is a class of being anti-seizure medications, because you find patients that's like, oh, I don't have any history of seizure, why am I taking these medications? But they are used also in mental health to help with mood stabilization or even depression. Now we have sleeping medications or sedative hypnotics. These are the class of medications that help to give patients the ability to be able to sleep if they are not able to sleep on their own. Because remember, if patients are depressed severely or anxiety or these other mood disorders, is a possibility, or the good number of patients, they also struggle with falling asleep. So the first thing is advising patients to be able to practice what we call sleep hygiene. With sleep hygiene, is like, do you go to bed certain time, or do you just randomly go to bed? One day you're going to bed 8 o'clock, another time you do midnight. We have also a problem with technology now, so we like and love to stay more up online, catching up with everything going on. So, and that is really, really affecting a lot of the population, be it the young generation and any generation, really. So, the first thing first is, guiding patients to be able to practice that good sleep hygiene. But if, for some reason, because with mental health, there are some other things we might not be able to control without medication. So that's where the sleeping aid comes in, sleeping aids. We have stimulants, or even non-stimulants. These will be medications that help with the focus and the concentration. Especially, schoolage. And when I say schoolage, that means from kindergarten going up, even college. Even older folks who can't be able to focus and concentrate at work, they have the options to get the medication after they have tried everything possible to be able to be productive, and they have failed, then there is a medication to help with that. I hope I have time to leave room for questions.
Right. Okay, go ahead, Rev. I think we can ask one question here, if that's okay, Rev, and then I'm gonna stop live. Is that okay, Rev? You want me to stop it now? Rev, you want me to do that now?
Before you stop it, I posted a question that individuals, I promised them I will share the answer, but I don't know if it's going to fall within what we are talking about, but just take it with a grain of salt. And the question that have been asked is about the t-shirt. The t-shirt that says, and both presenters can help us. I don't need therapy. I just need to go to Kenya. And so when somebody asked me that, I said, yes, yes, yes. Go to Kenya? Yes. And here to say, for some certain disorders, like seasonal affective disorder, you can actually leave Massachusetts. My brothers and my sisters from Mass, just take it with a grain of salt. Or the northeastern frozen places with snow, very cold. And somebody has said, every time there is snow on the ground, every time it's fall, in these cold places, I get sick. And yes, you can see a therapist, and yes, you can get medication for this. But honestly, what I have learned, you can actually move. But I know you don't want to move from the USA. This is not the time to move. Okay, you can visit, but you can actually move to a warmer climate. This is a person who has said, during the winter, I get sick, but when spring comes, I don't even need medication. Yes, they are right. So, and they say, I did not have this problem when I was in Kenya. Yes, you did not, because you lived at the equator. And the pathway of the sun, even when it's clouded, the sun's rays will penetrate that African sky in Kenya, and you always get sunshine. So maybe if you move to Arizona, where it's warmer, they call it the healing sun. Our clinician, she's licensed there too. Maybe you can move to Florida, southern warmer places and Gulf Coast. And actually, yes, you can be healed without medication, but this is only one thing I have mentioned. And now this might sound kind of funny, but do you remember in Kenya we used to have someone from Mombasa called Kabwera? He was called a medicine man, and he was prescribing water, and people give him a bad rap for it. But actually, there are also some healing waters, like the ones he was giving. Although one bottle, I'm not sure. And that is because the waters contain lithium that would help regulate someone's brain and function. And you can read that actually. You can read that in research materials. But I'm not prescribing water for you. I want you to know that we are the clinicians and mental health staff. We are anchored on best practices for research purposes in the United States of America. Because if you ever go before the judge and say you prescribed water for somebody, that might not fly. But what I'm saying is, yes, there are conditions that can be helped by moving to a different environment. Like I am saying, you can move to Arizona. Some people, even older people that struggle with arthritis, they can tell you that many of them feel much better in a warmer climate. And those who are rich are able to do that. They will live some of the time in a warmer climate, and in a very cold climate, they will shift again. But many of us do not have this luxury. For this reason, I do recommend the same thing I said, that when we talk about counselors, we are talking about somebody who will guide you. So what areas? Therefore, if you're having issues with mental health, it is important to consult and to make an appointment with a therapist or psychiatrist. So the question that they wanted me to say, or I posted, it is all yes, 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 yes. But I did not say that you need to go to Kenya right now. So that is your own case. I'm just saying, if you go and you cannot come back, don't say that Reverend Wamboi said don't do certain things. My name is Reverend Wamboi Joroge, and I have had the benefit of sharing and helping, especially in prevention of mental health disorders with the school population. That's why I say child and adolescent. I'm not practicing at this point, and I will help children, adolescents, and their parents to do better. But I still say, and I have worked one time, or I 1 year here in outpatient clinic. And that's why I like to listen to these psychotropic medications, because it's important for you to know what is going in. And also, especially that Dr. Pacifica has highlighted negative side effects. So please, next time you get this medication, whether you're going to Kenya or staying here or moving to Arizona or Florida or Southern California, please read again and again about negative side effects. I'm going to actually ask our presenter, where would we find these negative side effects? The medication we are taking is working good, but we have negative side effects. How can we tell?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely, someone will be able to tell if they are experiencing negative side effects. Because if let's say, for example, gaining weight, that's easy to notice, like, oh, my clothes are not fitting. Let me check my weight. If it's dizziness or drowsiness, you feel it. Or if you do not have anxiety, maybe it's just depression and you're taking a medication, yes, you're feeling better, like your mood is good, your depression is good, now you're getting out of bed, but then you're anxious, you're restless, you're nervous, then maybe it's a side effect of the medication you are taking, and you need to let your provider know. Also, I think Ms. Judy asked or want me to touch about polypharmacy and the need to allow the medication to work, which is very, very important. Now, sometimes, we tend to think that a medication is a magic or has some magic in it that we take, and within a day, 2 or a week, we're supposed to be feeling better. But most of these medications, they, take up to 4 weeks before you can see the effect of the medication. So 4 to 6 weeks, if you start, let's say, for example, I start a patient on a certain medication, maybe 25 milligram or 50 milligram, depending on what their recommended starting dose is. And 4 weeks, they say, oh, the medication is it doesn't feel like it's helping, or the medication is helping a little bit, but the symptoms still are there. So the next thing is, okay, it's the 4 weeks, it's 6 weeks. Let's increase the dose and see if that will be helpful. Okay, if it's not working at all, and maybe it's like 2 months, we can switch the medication and try again over a period of 4 to 6 weeks. And if it's not working, then that's where either to augment or to go to the next class that is to help to alleviate the same symptoms. Somebody asked, are there disorders that do not need taking medications? Yes. For example, depression, depending on the severity, or anxiety, depending on the severity, sleep, depending on the severity. Because the first thing is, depending on how severe the symptoms present or how debilitating they are, you want to try therapy first, or you want to try some things at home that are not medications, to help to see if the symptoms can get better. And if someone has tried therapy and it's not effective, or if the symptoms are very severe enough just to start medications, yes, they go ahead and start medication while doing therapy. But yes, there are disorders, as I said, like depression, anxiety, sleep, even lack of focus. That's what we call attentive deficit. That first you try lifestyle changes or even behavioral modification to try and see if the symptoms are manageable. If you can get through each day, you finish your work, you are productive without any issues, then you take a day at a time. Let me see if there's another question for me down here. We concentrate on short-term effect, positive rather than long-term or negative. Okay. Some negative side effects, folks are feeling better, but it makes one to add weight, no sleeping. Oh, that's probably what I've talked about. I'm not sure.
Okay.
All
right. I think before we wrap it up here, because we stopped live, because I think we have 10 more minutes. I want to ask Demba, is that you with your hand up? You had a comment about the t-shirt. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kamnao, and the good presenters, Dr. Pacifica and Judy. And thank you, Reverend Wamboy, for your able moderation.
Where are you calling from, by the way, so they can know where you're calling from and what you do? I'm
calling from Texas. I'm a psychologist, and I live here in Texas. I just thought it right to when Reverend Wamboy asked about the T-shirt, I thought I needed to come in and probably indicate that the T-shirt said that I don't need therapy. I need to go to Kenya. When I saw that T-shirt, one of the things I picked is the negative implication of what therapy is. We probably need to note that therapy is anything that can give you a sense of well-being. So in this particular case, going to Kenya would be considered part of therapy. So the T-shirt ought not to have made therapy look like a super negative, yet it is a positive thing. So going to Kenya is part of therapy. And I've also noticed that we probably want to continuously suggest that therapy is only the psychotherapy, behavioral therapy, cognitive therapy, and stuff. The other drug that we are using, like psychoactive, is also a form of therapy where you're using drug therapy. So therapy encompasses any form of intervention that tries to alleviate the suffering of the individual. So I need us to note that Reverend, it will be fair for the person to the connotation that therapy is negative, that I don't need therapy. If going to Kenya is what is going to make you feel better, then that is therapy. If going to church and singing is what is going to make you feel better, that is therapy. If walking and doing something else is going to make you feel better, that is therapy. And if taking drug, like the good doctor has said, that is called drug therapy. So we are saying that you may have different options of therapy. And as the good doctor said, you move from the one that has less side effects as you move up, like the good doctor has said. So behavioral therapies, psychotherapies may have less side effects as opposed to drug therapies, which may have other side effects as we have noticed. However, thank you so much. I've really learned a lot from our able presenters, and I'm learning a lot. Thank you, Kamnao, for your invite. I always look forward for the invite, and thank you so much, Reverend.
Thank you very much. Before we live, but somebody hands is up. Um, can you say something? I see your hand up. Flo, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Wolfram from Massachusetts.
Mhm.
I was just responding on medication, just the way Dr. Pacifica said. Severity, it depends with the level of severity. Like if it is mild, somebody who is presenting with depressive symptoms and it is mild, the different, okay, with here I've seen just somebody who need therapy, but they will put him or her on antidepressant, which that's why I talked of short term. We only concentrate on the short term. I give antidepressant, then he's okay. But you have not worked on the long term to find where the problem is coming from. Yeah, that's what I was to respond to.
Okay. That's amazing. Wolfram, good to meet you. So after I stop live, so let me see a comment here before I stop live saying, it says here, Reverend, you can jump in before I close. You know, give a final remark for live and then I close. We can consider, yeah, it says there. You already said there. I saw the comment. Thank you, Dr. Pacifica. You say, I think you did you already said that. Okay, Rev One Boy, you wanna say something before we stop live? And then we have fiery answers from Judy, Dr. Judy and Pacifica. I have a question for you out of live. But your last comment. And Kevin, where's Kevin? Go ahead.
We just want to thank everybody who has participated. We appreciate the audience, and it's so wonderful to see our presenters even for tomorrow. I saw that Dr. is with us, and Rosa, a clinician, was also with us. I welcome you, Peter M. This is also a nursing practitioner from another state. When they give me permission, you say. And I'm so encouraged for Mr. Dimba for that comment, although I was more serious. Sometimes when I'm more serious, I'm more nervous. So I was praying in the church as my final comment, and somebody was giving their concern, and I said, wait a minute, wait, let's get together after the church. I want to talk to you. And I prescribed this person, I said, you can actually move. But I was serious. I believe I was in the spirit on that Sunday. It was a Sunday now, let's say this. I was in the spirit because it was a Sunday. I'm not going to say that I'm in the spirit today to tell anybody to move. But honestly, if you go to Arizona, you need less milligrams of vitamin D because there's already, the sun is there. You don't need 1,000. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying I was in the spirit on a Sunday. So sometimes watch where you are. As our clinicians are saying, there are multiple ways that you contribute to your healing. And if one, thank you so much. You have redeemed me and my brother from Massachusetts. So if you are going to Kenya, it's part and parcel of your therapy that you'll be okay. Because even in Kenya, you need to stay in touch with your doctor. Nevertheless, caveat, do not discontinue treatment, taking medication, even after this conference is over, without consulting and consenting with your doctor. Because as our clinicians are telling us, if you are feeling wonderful and then you decide, okay, I don't need medicine anymore, the next time you are encountered in the clinic, you are probably deteriorating. So we don't want to go there. So we just want to encourage ourselves, encourage you, individuals and families, including my good students. I know sometimes they can take a drug holiday during the summertime, but the break we have for December is too short. Please continue taking your medication as prescribed by your doctor and monitored by the nurses or the counselors or the therapists. Do not become your own doctor. Even doctors need doctors, right? Thank you so much. You're a wonderful group of people. I love the diaspora community. I call you diaspora fraternity. We have been together so long, sometimes longer than with our biological family. And that's why I value you. And if I'm in trouble, you know, I reach out. Sometimes myself, I even reach out in a public forum, like that one of ours. Remember when I said I'm having a very hard time because of this and that, and I got help. I love you people. You're good. Thank you. We didn't hear from Kevin. I don't know if he's with us, but you can please turn us off on YouTube people.
Okay.
God bless you.
Thank you. Before we do that, there's Dr. Judy, you had a comment before we go stop it, right? You say you can answer now, or you want me to stop? You're on mute.
All right. I'm still learning this. You know, these computer things are not my thing, but we're good. So the question that I wanted to respond is, I think it's you, Hamna, that had talked about talking to, you know, when somebody talks to friends and they think that they're sharing to get help or to get comfort, and then they hear everything out there. Well, that was you, right? And I said, let's talk to the therapist. But here is something else. You have to think about it. When you're going to talk to your friends, and especially in the context that you ask in the context of a marriage or a significant other. My thing about that is you have to be very wise about what you're speaking about. For instance, you're not planning to leave this man. You're not going away from this home. Think about it. When you open your mouth to tell your friends about your partner, remember, those are your allies. They're not his allies. You know, my friends are my friends, his friends because of me. My family is loyal to him because of me. And vice versa. His family is loyal to me because of him. So when you open your mouth and talk and say things that will add on, you know, you do not want him to hear it. You know, like the way Reverend said, if you ever say something and please don't, I don't want nobody else to know. That statement right there means that story is going. It's not stopping where you wanted it to stop. And so when you say something about your partner, remember that he's going to hear it. And if he does hear it, or even the repercussions, you know, they're going to hate your husband. They're going to hate your man or your wife because they think that he's not doing right by him or her. but you're not leaving. So you're there with him, and now you'll be seeing all these people around you will be seeing you with him, and they'll be saying, look at him, look at them, and this and that and that, and the way he does this and that. So we have to be very wise about what we are talking about to our friends. Granted, if you want to go to leave him and say, he's doing this, he did this and this, I can't deal with it, I can't, then you can invite the circus and let everybody look at him negatively the way you portrayed it. But when you want out there to talk about your partner in a negative connotation or even positive things, you also don't want to let everything out there. You have to be very wise. And for some of us who talk a lot, it looks like we are sharing a lot, but we really don't. You have to be very smart, you have to be very careful, and you have to pick wisely. And this is also something that we can also address when we come to I know Reverend Momboi has a program, mental health issues, especially in marriage and especially very early in marriage. This guy, you don't know him, you don't know this girl, you just started living together. There are things that you're going to find, and I could be talking out of experience. I can't say much because I think my husband is here. So I still want to have a good evening tonight. And thank you, honey, for showing up again today. I want to acknowledge you and also acknowledge my friend Anne. Anne, shout out from Seattle, Washington. She's a nurse practitioner, a friend of mine. So personal things, leave them where they are. If you have to share, go to a counselor, go to a therapist. Don't say something that is going to live with your friends and your family. You don't want your mom to be thinking about your husband and he's a bully and you're there with him for the rest of your life. So I'm not saying don't tell your mom, but be wise and know, or your friends, just know how the limits, how much you can go. Other big things, bring to the counselors, bring to us. We have shock absorbers. That's why we are trained, and that's why we get paid the big bucks to take care of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I stop live, we can thank you so much, Judy. You're the best. You, Dr. Pacifica. You, Dr. Judy. You're the best. Uh, we can give you a receipt, your free donation, please. If you get this video later, we need donation officially. We receive donation. You can reach out to me or Reverend Mamboyi or Kevin. My number, and then if you wanna get Reverend Mamboyi's number, you can call me at 314-757-4215. We're gonna give you a receipt so you can claim it on your taxes. Thank you very much. Rev, you have something else to add before I stop?
Get us off YouTube.
All right, here we go.
Don't give my number there.
I didn't. That's the reason why I gave my only number.
Thank you.
I gave my number for a reason. Thank you.
We want to welcome